Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm sure the other videos have uploaded by now, and I commented on the one. Unfortunately, sometimes you just got to face the devil, and through that, like I was mentioning on the videos, I know it's hard for some people to hear that kind of stuff, but we can't bow down to the devil. We got to show the devil where we are, and our walk in faith shows a lot of that. It's no different than what we face every day in our everyday life. You're just not putting it out there so people can hear it. When you came onto this channel, you liked something that you seen about the way I do and the way that I speak about everyday events and things in even my own life. And no, I wasn't meaning like leave, but I've had people honestly say that on, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, and you're always welcome to come back, as Jesus has always welcomed me back into his life. As many times as I ran in the beginning, I ran from his love. I ran from what he stood for because I wasn't used to that. I was used to all these negativity things. I was used to all the beaten downs. And when you finally get someone that loves you, yeah, it's kind of hard because you expect that love to be fake like everything else in your life. So, unfortunately, like I said before, people are going to hurt you. The only true person that will never hurt you on this earth is Jesus and the Father himself. But you got to understand this. The amazing part about it is we're covered under his grace and under his blood. And as the world unravels, you got to expect that this nonsense is going to happen. But it's how we stick through it and how we come together and how we form. Last night I probably had like 3 hours sleep. And these dreams that I have sometimes, it's like back in the day when our TV show was on, it's like to be continued, because that was their way of getting you back and hooked to come back and watch the episode the following week. Today we kind of give trailers of things on movies. I don't really like watching those trailers because it pretty much gives, like, if it's a funny movie, they put all the funny parts, it seems like, on there, and you're watching the movie and you go, man, this movie's horrible. Well, sometimes life's horrible. Sometimes we just got to suck it up and just give it back to God and say, I don't know what you want me to do with this, but you put me out here in the field and it's nothing but rocks. Well, I can complain about it all night and day. Or I can run that plow over it, and as it kicks the rocks up, I can pile them up and then go get something to help me move those rocks and move them to a different location. Well, sometimes, you don't understand why them rocks are in your life, but you start moving those rocks, you start placing them in another place, and someone's driving down the road, hey, I'll buy those rocks from you. Oh, okay, well, I got plenty of them. And the next thing you know, they're backing in, paying for these rocks, and they're loading this stuff, and they're paying you. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, I'm glad you asked. Jesus paid that ultimate price for us. Jesus went to the cross. It's difficult at times to face things, to face reality. Fear, the devil's opening fear more and more. He's making these bump in the night. He's making these chatters, per se, in the ears. And he's making those things sit in the corner. He's allowing the deceiving concept of life. I don't know if it's still on or not, but I remember years ago, and I'm talking way back, I remember coming across, I was watching TV, and you're flipping through the channels and you're just like, kind of just like, don't really care what you watch. You just want noise, I guess, to say in the least in your life, something talking, I guess. And I remember coming across The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. It shows you how far back this was. And even when I tell you about the person speaking on there, you're really going to go, wow, that does go way back. Mr. Rogers, of all people. Mr. Rogers spoke of something very interesting. Being the godly man that this man was, he spoke of transgender way back then, where guys would become as women and women as men. He actually spoke this on The Tonight Show. And I was sitting there last night and I'm thinking about all this craziness, and I'm thinking about that dream that was to be continued. Every time I fell asleep, finally I just got up and just started praying. Well, in this dream, I've had this before, but it's never gone intense like the way that it did last night. It's almost like Jesus is putting all these dreams into one dream. I used to have this dream of this huge, like, tidal wave coming into this city and destroying these buildings where, like, the water was over the buildings. And I remember looking up going, wow, those things are tall. I gathered, and my opinion of it was New York City. The only reason why I say New York City is because I seen the Statue of Liberty fall and kind of slide off of its platform out there and slump down into the water and just sink. The crown, the torch itself is the only thing that stayed up. Now, you go back and you watch movies, and I have seen the same effect where the torch only is standing out of the ground. Whether it's water, whether it's frozen, or whatever, it is still only the torch remains. Planet of the Apes. What was that one? It had Dennis Quaid in it. He was a scientist, and his son and a couple other people go into this library thing, and they're kind of trapped in there. I forget the name of the movie, but anyways, same concept. You have to understand something, people. There is truth in everything. There's negative in everything. There's lies in everything. Because you got the devil's realm and you got God's realm. Naturally, the devil's nothing but lying, deceiving. He wants to deceive everybody. We keep hearing about this chips. We keep hearing about this. There was a movie a while back. I want you to think about this. I don't really know the name of the movie because I never watched it. I just remember somebody telling me something about this movie after I commented on some stuff way before the YouTube stuff. And they called me. Those things that we used to do back in the day where we call people because we didn't have the technology per se, or I wasn't on the technology. I didn't do a whole lot of text message back then because, let's face it, when we first got, my very first cell phone looked like a dang on walkie-talkie. One of those walkie-talkie ones, when you were little, kind of like what the Army would use as a phone type thing. That was my first phone. It was the gaudiest thing ever. And big and bulky. But anyways, so you didn't really text message back then. So he calls me up and he goes, but this was later on in life when I had the flip phones and stuff and the screen was like so big and you're just like, yeah, right. Somebody sent you a text message. Why aren't you replying? Well, I'm still trying to read it. I don't have a phone like yours. I got a flip phone. And, so they said, you remember when you were talking about chips and all that stuff and we laughed at you and we thought you were crazy? I said, yeah. Would you come to call me to harass me some more about it? He said, no, I come to apologize. And I'm like, well, how did that word stays coming out of your mouth? And these are some of the people I used to hang out with. I mean, this is the way, we didn't hold punches. We just threw it on the table. And how I am today is how I was then. I never had to beat around the bush. Let's get to it. What is your issue? Let's get to it. Let's fix it. Let's figure it out. Well, the thing of it was, he said, Justin Timberlake. I'm like, who the heck is Justin Timberlake? He goes, the guy from the Mickey Mouse Club, and he did a boy band. I have no idea who the heck Justin Timberlake is. Seriously, you don't know I think he was in Sync or no, it wasn't Backstreet Boys. Donnie Wahlberg was a Backstreet Boys, right? I don't know. Well, whichever boy band he was in, it was either I know it wasn't Boyz II Men, because I actually like Boyz II Men. I was actually a big fan of theirs even before they were Boyz II Men. The crazy thing is I don't remember what their names were, but it's not important. But anyways, Justin Timberlake was in this movie. Well, the wife just came up with this funky scanning device type thing, and she scanned his wrist. Just, we not look at technology back then compared to where we are today. You look at how many movies that this stuff is taking place. Now, I want you to really think about something here with me. If you think that we are not going to be like Christian-wise, if you're left here and you don't take the mark, because I think by that time everybody's going to go, man, I should have listened. I wouldn't have had to worry about this mark of the beast thing. I know now if I take this chip, I'm going to be doomed. Okay, well, let's just fast forward a little bit to where we are today. You think these FEMA camps, they're going to call them FEMA camps because they're going to say we're sick, they're going to try to lock us down, and this stuff is true. I'm going to get back to the dream, and I just want to tell you this real quick. Sometimes it's like reeling in that fish. You just got to pull on it a little bit, reel it a little bit, pull on it a little bit, turn it a little bit. Otherwise, you tire yourself out and you're never going to get it. That massive fish that sometimes that we feel, oh my gosh, this is going to be so big, it's going to be so great. I'm going to pull this thing up, it's going to be a record breaker, and you pull it up and it's a bluegill. And everybody looks over at you like, you struggled over a bluegill? Yeah, I struggled over a bluegill because that's what Satan made me believe, that it was bigger and mightier than what it was, because I didn't give it to the Lord to let him defeat that storm. But China, and I don't know what they're calling them, but they look like pods, basically. They're white outdoor units that are multi in sections. And they are locking people down in these things as we speak right now. Look it up. I'm sure there's a technical name for it. I really don't know the name. But I believe it's happening right now. I really do. And I really believe that this stuff is flowing this way. And which makes sense. They have to get all this stuff ready. They have to get all this stuff in place for the coming events. But think about it. If China's already doing it, who else is doing it? I mean, that's the craziest thing ever. It's kind of like when you go into Genesis and you start reading Genesis, and you look in there and it says they formed beast. The cows were of the cows, and that, how it goes down there of that, the cattle was of the cattle, or however it was. But what do you think beast was? In my opinion only, just my opinion, I'm not saying I'm right. I believe beast, what they consider beast, was outside of the garden, not in the garden. Outside of the garden. I believe it was dinosaurs. I believe that's exactly what roamed the earth, on the outside. And they call them beasts. We call them dinosaurs. That's just my opinion. Because if you go all the way through the Bible, we know dinosaurs roamed the earth, but it never speaks of it. the only place I can find anything is where it says beast. And that's in the beginning. But then you look how fast Lucifer was also thrown out of heaven. Chapter 3 in Genesis. It talks about the garden. It talks about the temptation of Eve. Well, okay. That means Lucifer had to be thrown out of heaven between chapters 1 and chapters 3. Because we know the garden was made here on earth. Which makes sense when you go to the book of Job. In the beginning, when God's standing there in presence, or was it Jesus? I mean, you can weigh the balance out. I believe it was Jesus, because I believe he's the Spirit of God. He was made after the image of God, the same as we were, because it says so. Let's make man after our image, where it says, let's make man after us. Well, what is us? You think God's just speaking this about himself? He wouldn't say us. Jesus was man form. Lucifer was man form. Think about it. Lucifer's man today. Just buying his time. People come against it. That's okay. It's your thoughts. Have it. You're entitled to it. You're entitled to your free will. God doesn't change it, nor will the Lord ever change it. It's up to you to decide what you want to do with it. It's like, do you put your money in the bank and save it and wait for tomorrow? Or do you just blow all your money today and tomorrow a hardship comes and you go, dang, that was stupid. And then you're looking for receipts, trying to take stuff back, and you still can't come up with it because you're always going to be short. Well, we are short when we fall short of God and where God is in our lives. So, let's go back into this dream. So, the massive flood takes place. I see it. It flows all the way down through the coastal line, I guess, into Florida, which powers that water up over, which hits Texas. And from there, this water is coming up through the Carolinas. It's coming up this way, and it's flowing from Florida. It's flowing outwards. Texas is being annihilated. This massive quake takes place. The Lord also showed me that there was 4 angels on the earth with mighty swords. One will strike the earth from east to west. One from California to New York. One from Washington State to Florida. The other one from Texas straight up towards Canada. They will do it after they hit a certain point. Now, will we call these things earthquakes? I don't know. I really don't. Is this just all a fantastic dream? I doubt it. Because it's so real. It's so real. What I'm about to tell you, I mean, it is crazy. Well, this particular time, like last night, I'd seen it before it happened. And I'm walking along, and I'm gathering, I was driving a truck. Because I remember looking back and seeing the truck stop. Not a big deal. I used to walk all the time. I used to get out, go explore. And some nights when I know if I was going to have to do a 34 restart, then I would park somewhere where I can walk if there were stores, at least get out and not have to sit in the truck. Because when I used to drive OTR, man, you got tired of sitting in this truck. You got tired of sitting in that cell back there, because that's what it starts to feel like. And when it's cold, you know, you just you really don't feel like walking anywhere. I mean, to be honest. When it's warm, it's too hot, you just don't really feel like walking anywhere. So, I'm walking along, and I'm walking into this city, and I'm looking around, I'm looking at stuff, and all of a sudden I hear this loud crashing sound. and I'm watching water start to trickle down the street. And as the water's trickling down the street, I'm looking up going, what in the world? I see people running. And they're like, run, you're not, run, get out of here. I'm like, get out of here? What are you talking about? Well, I'm thinking maybe a pipe broke or something's on fire. I mean, and then I'm going, and honestly, people, this is why I say sometimes it's like, is this reality? Is it a dream? Is it a vision? But I mean, I'm physically touching stuff. It's not like I'm not touching anything. I mean, I know we all have realistic dreams before, but this stuff is like real life dreams. I mean, I literally can remember. I mean, there's times that I woke up out of dreams and looking for the stuff I had in my hand. It's that realistic. So I'm thinking in my head, trying not to laugh, but it is kind of funny. I'm thinking in my head, Godzilla, run, Godzilla. I don't know why I thought that, but that's what I thought. Because you ever watch an old Godzilla movie? Back in the day, they were black and white. Most horrible thing. But we had a black and white TV for the longest time. So I wouldn't know what color was. I remember when people got color television, they were like, wow, man, you should see this in color. Yeah, what are you talking about? You know, to me, color is looking out a window. Looking at TV, I thought everybody's TV was black and white like that. So, this water starts coming. Well, I see this cars, people jumping in their cars, turning their cars around as fast as they could, trying to get out of there. Well, we know what happens. If this is truly New York, what I'm seeing, yeah, right. New York City, that many cars, people trying to turn around, people trying. Yeah, you would stand better chance as one of the movies I like talking about, because I mean it's a funny movie to me. I mean I really enjoyed the movie Crocodile Dundee when he's in New York. I even questioned, was that truly New York? But I had a good brother of mine tell me that yeah, it actually was, which made it even more cooler. But how he walks across the top of the cars, that makes sense. But anyways, this lady is in this car. She has a child in the back. It's a red car, 4-door, like sedan type car. I don't know what kind of car it was. I would gather probably like a Toyota or something like that. I wouldn't put it as an American style car. These days, I don't know, you can't tell one car from the next. I mean, seriously. You know, I think with the New World Order and all this one car and all this stuff, life is going to be very dull, I would imagine. I mean, it'd be like the Jetsons. My space car is better than your space car. Oh, no, it's not. I got a turbo in my space car because you couldn't get the high performance one. I paid for the extra electric boost. Muscle cars will be the thing of the past. Well, they're pretty much there now. Gasoline wise, they're definitely the thing of the past. I always wanted to rebuild another hot rod. And then I started looking at gas prices going, I would want to drive it and drive it like I used to. But now I'm thinking, forget it. You know, no. But anyways, this water starts coming higher and higher, and I hear the people screaming even more. And I remember looking up, and I'm looking at the top of this tower, and I'm going, "Oh my gosh, this is bad. We're in some severe bad trouble right now." And I'm looking around, and I'm trying to figure out, how did I get into this place this far? Well, that's one thing about dreams. You tend to lose part of it. I know damn well I didn't walk all the way from that truck stop all the way into New York City, if it is New York City. But I don't know. Can anybody please tell me, here in the United States, a city that has a bunch of tall buildings and jam-packed nonsense? I don't know of any place. And granted, I've never been to Washington State. I've been all over this United States. but I've never been to Washington State, so I can't really tell you what Washington holds. But I can't imagine any other city being like New York. Now, I have been in parts of California, but I still have never seen nothing that tight of buildings and that cluster of there. But then again, how do you explain the Statue of Liberty? So that's why I'm gathering it's New York. But I have another question, just off the charts here. Anybody ever really think about the Statue of Liberty? I mean, first of all, New York claims it's theirs. You know, they put it on everything, Statue of Liberty on T-shirts and all this. But you think about how corrupted New York is with the governors and all that stuff that goes on there. Not that New York's any different than half of the states in the world these days. But if Statue of Liberty was per se, I love New York and the Statue of Liberty on T-shirts, and they're selling little lighters where you click on it and the torch lights up, and they're making a lot of money off the Statue of Liberty. But my thing is this: why does the Statue of Liberty back face towards New York? It faces towards Jersey, the face. Anybody ever think about that? I mean, this is the stuff that goes through my head when I'm driving along, just randomly thinking about nonsense stuff, I guess. But why is it nonsense? I don't know. But why do I think about stuff like that? Some of you might be going, why in the world did I ever stay on this channel as long as I have? I don't blame you. I wouldn't blame you. I'm actually surprised the followers are increasing instead of decreasing. I figure the number by now would start to, no, I'm going to unsubscribe. Can't say that I blame anybody, because it is a roller coaster. Well, this life we're on is a roller coaster. Get back to the car. Okay, I'm going right now. Boomerang. Here we go. So, as this water's coming up, and I'm going as fast as I can, the water starts overcoming, and it comes crashing down. At this point, cars are being slammed into each other by all this massive force of the water, and I'm underwater. And I remember that red sedan getting slammed into these cars and pinned. She can't open her door. She can't roll down the windows. And I'm looking in there, and all she keeps screaming is, please help me. Please don't leave me. Please help my child. So you're looking in there and you're trying to get in this car. Now granted, you can't open a door underwater. Some may say, yeah, right, I'll do it. Well, okay. Well, then go to the junkyard, buy a piece of junk car, and dig yourself a big giant hole, and fill it full of water, dump the car in there, roll up the windows, close the doors, and then try to open it. I don't think you're going to get very far with that. I don't even think Lou Ferrigno can open a door under that much body of water. It'd be like saying I'm going to open a coffin's lid underground. Seriously. You think about people saying, oh, they dug themselves out of the ground. Okay, well, how'd they get the coffin open? Let alone these days they put them in vaults. So if you put them in vaults, please explain to me how in the world you got the coffin lid open to move the vault. It's impossible. People, you got 6 feet of dirt above you at this point. There's no way, there's no physical way you could survive. I'm sorry. No way. Even with an oxygen tank, it's eventually going to run out. I don't buy the fact. I actually heard a story that this person was buried alive and they survived. They dug themselves out. Okay. You were in a casket. But they won't tell you how they got out of the casket. They won't tell you how they got out of the vault. They got out and dug their way upward 6 feet. Incredible. The only way I can say that's possible is God. Other than that, I better hear some godly inspiration somewhere in this, but they never once mentioned Jesus or God anywhere in this story they were telling. I hate to use story because to me, it's always like you're telling a story. Like it's this or that, but I guess it is your story, it's your life story. But I don't know, it's kind of like what I spoke about, the feeding ministry. I don't know, I always think of cattle, like you're feeding cattle or pigs or something. Come here, time to get your feeding on. Come on now, come on, come and get your food. And I'm not making fun of anybody's language. That's about the probably the best impersonations I can give you. You know, again, I'm never trying to offend anybody. I'm never making fun of nobody. You know, you look at movies, they do impersonation of different stuff. I mean, it's a lot of languages I actually love. I love Boston. I love the way they talk. I love listening to a lot of that language up there. You know, hey, tell me about it. One of the outstanding people on here, which you're all outstanding, don't get me wrong, I'm not putting one above another, but man, I tell you, if you ever wanted a good person in your corner, in all these years I've always wished, you know, I really had a brother. And you know, when you feel all hope's lost in God, you're allowing the pruning to take place in your life, you may lose a lot of people out of your life. Children, family, friends. Well, what, you know, some of your friends, if you look back after they're out of your life, you go, my gosh, I really don't miss these people. I'm at more peace now than I've ever been in my life. Because not only are you carrying your weight, but you got to carry the weight of this crap that these people bring into your lives. And it's like, when you start cutting chains loose, you go, man, wait a minute. I'm cutting all their chains loose. I ain't even got to my chains loose yet, but you're feeling a lot lighter in life because you got rid of all this nonsense. Well, you allowed Jesus to remove it from your life. So, why did I leave the girl in the car? Get to that. You've been with me long enough, man. You know these roller coasters. You just strap on and get ready to throw your arms up in the air and scream as you're going down and take a deep breath as you're going up. The higher we go up, we know we're coming down that downgrade just as fast as slow as we're going up, we're coming down even faster because we got all that weight pushing behind it. But anyways, so I went to the top of the water, and as I'm doing it, I'm following this building where she's at, and I'm counting the panels of glass. So I knew exactly. So when I got to the top, and I'm looking around, and finally I see this area where somebody went into another building. So there's a broken window, panel, or something broken, I don't know. All I know is the water's not as high as that, so I'm gathering someone broke that window to get in. So I go over there, go into the building, and I'm looking for everything and anything I possibly can find. Now here's something I don't know. And if anybody's been in New York City and been in buildings, can you please let me know if they have fire hoses in these? You know how we have break the glass, get a fire extinguisher type stuff? Well, I went over there and broke these glasses, and I was taking this fire hose out. Well, I left the nozzle on the one, and the other ones, I went into this room and I found these knives, and I was cutting the other hoses and tying them together. I'm going to explain this to you. So as I'm doing this, I'm thinking, okay, so I'm going to every floor, gathering whatever I can find, whatever wasn't underwater, and I'm going upwards to gather whatever I could possibly find. So I'm thinking in my head going, they don't have much time. I don't have much time to sit here and clown around and waste time. So I go back over to where I was. I break that window out. And I know they're straight down below me at this point. So I tie this fire hose off into a box that had still a fire hose connected. I didn't cut that loose. I wrapped this thing around me and tied it as tight as I could get it, with the nozzle still on the one end of this one that I was holding. Everything else, I left the nozzles on, but I tied the nozzles and stuff together, nozzle and nozzle, to keep it as tight as I could get it. Now, the one that I was holding, I had to tie, obviously, a loose end onto a nozzle, because I cut it loose. So, I go out the window, back in the water. I'm going all the way down. I take this nozzle, untied it, and I start slamming it against the window. Finally, it was like this force of water came behind at the same time, and as I struck into that window, it shattered it. The mom's holding, she's upwards under there. I looked over at the girl, and I undid the seatbelt, pulled her out, and took her up. As I'm taking her back up and climbing up this, I didn't have to really go too far because of the water. I just followed the hose, grabbed the hose, and went as fast as I could. Well, the girl's unconscious. As I crawl into the window, I am CPR certified. Not anymore, but I was. So I shouldn't say I am, because I don't know. I mean, if you was, but I basically my certificate is no longer valid per se. Either way, but I'm starting to do CPR. And these people are running by, and this lady runs in there, and I said, "Can you do CPR?" And she says, "Yes." I said, "I gotta go get the mom. She don't have much time. She's got a little tiny air pocket." So I went back down. She's at this point starts panicking, and I'm talking to her, and it's weird, people. I'm talking to her, but we're not. It's like heaven. You can either talk with your mind or you can verbally talk. And I told her, I said, just close your eyes and think of something happy. And I'm picturing what she's picturing. I'm picturing her birth of her daughter. So I'm undoing the seatbelt and it's stuck. I'm going, great. How much air can I possibly hold before I gotta resurface? So I'm going there, and it's like I always carry on me in my pocket a razor knife. So I'm pulling this razor knife out, and I know I got one quick second, and I start cutting this seatbelt. I release the seatbelt, grabbed a hold of her, and she kind of like wrapped her arms around me like I'm piggybacking her, and we got out of the car. Right about that time, I watched another car come downwards in this part of it. Looks like a top of a building with a sharp point right down through the top of the car. We get up to the building, and I'm thinking, we're doomed. I mean, seriously, this is what's going through my head. We're doomed. There's like no way out of this. But at least we're safe. They got her daughter breathing, they got the water out of her lungs and all this stuff. And I'm thinking, okay. In my dream, I'm thinking, man, I watched too many movies. This is what I'm thinking last night. And then for a bright flash moment, I started thinking about life. I started thinking about people. I started thinking about evil, things that have been in my life. Things I've done. And I remember thinking of my life going, wow, to give God glory through all this, man. You know, this is intense. Because there was a lot of stuff that I didn't really think about. And I guess it makes sense. You know, I am human, you know. Although some people say that I'm not, but I truly am. I mean, you can come and jab me with something and I'm going to bleed. I'm not going to leak out hydraulic fluid. I am going to bleed. I do have feelings. I might not show it a lot, but lately, you know, emotions and stuff. And that just shows you how God changes you. Takes you that hard in the heart and makes it soft. Makes us different. We got to accept that difference. Kind of like now, you know, go from sunlight back into this darkness. And I think about that darkness. Some people believing in it or not, but don't. It's your choice. If it happens, if you really think it's all nonsense, you're going to go out in it. People, there's bad stuff in that darkness. There's bad stuff. Even if the darkness thing doesn't happen for the 3 days. Even if you're left here after the taking up of the body, you don't think we're going to see darkness? Yeah, you're going to see every kind of darkness. You're going to start seeing stuff in the next middle of this year to the end of the year that you're going to question what you're seeing if it's true. These demons are running loose. They're like a big vacuum leech. They're going to suck up everything they can possibly destroy, conquer, and break it down into nothing. So, isn't it great how we don't have to be continue something? And you can sit there and go, if I told you the story all at once, what fun would it be, right? You know, it's like reading a novel. You go, oh my gosh, what happened? Did they get out of it? I don't know. Now we're talking about somebody else, and we got to get through that part of the story. And then that part of the story captures your attention. You see, walking with Jesus isn't dull and boring if you're walking in the right way. Every day's an adventure. Every day, how we change and what we do changes. If you can change one person, if you can invite one person to Jesus, you're making a difference, whether they accept it or not. We just got to get over our fear that people are going to go talk about us at our work. Well, and let me tell you what, most likely they're probably already talking about you anyways. So why not just gain that popularity in heaven? Why not gain that reward? I know some of you might be kind of going, well, my reward is to be in the kingdom with Jesus. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. You know, I don't know what the inside of some of these dwellings and mansions and stuff that looks like up there, the buildings. I know there's a lot. I really do. And I understand seeing it when the Lord says my Father's house has many rooms. You ain't kidding. I understand that heaven does got a lot of different places. There's a lot of angels doing a lot of different stuff. I don't know. I call them all angels. I don't. Some people got different names for different angels, and I don't know. They all look like angels to me. I just call them all angels. So, anyways, we're up on this building. And it's one of those things where there was 6 of us. The woman and the man that ran in the room. The girl, the mom, myself. And here comes some guy. Out of nowhere. walks in the room. Peaceful. I mean, you just feel at peace with everybody in the room. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, anybody have any idea how we're going to get out of here? This can't be good to stay in this building, first of all. You know, is this building going to collapse? Is it going to continue to fill with water? I mean, eventually the water seems like it's from the panel that I went out. And I'm looking across, I'm seeing that panel where I cut all the fire hoses off of. I'm watching the water rise, so obviously this water's still rising. So you don't want to bring panic to nobody, because the last thing you want is a bunch of panicky people. I mean, there's nothing worse than being in a bad situation and have panic break loose. Good luck trying to control panic. Right. Just not so great. So, the wind's picking up pretty bad. But anyways, so I'm sitting there and the lady that was doing the CPR, I'm looking around, I'm going to different floors and rooms, trying to scavenge bottles of water, going through desks, going through anything I could possibly think of to go through. Cafe style, if they have like a coffee room or anything, and I'm grabbing any kind of food, any kind of anything, Band-Aids, anything I can pop. Letter openers, staple guns. I'm looking for everything and anything. I'm thinking survival. We gotta survive. We gotta get out of here. And I remember she walks in the room and she goes, "We're gonna die, aren't we?" I said, "Well, do you believe in Jesus Christ?" And she goes, "Yes." I said, "Well, then I don't believe we're gonna die." And if they don't believe, I said, "What about your husband?" She goes, "That's not my husband, it's a co-worker. He doesn't." I said, "Well, no time like the present. Get him on board." I said, "But he does have a real strong piece about him." She goes, "Yeah, he's a little different." I said, "Different? What do you mean by different?" She goes, "Well, some of the stuff he talks about, it's dark." I was like, "Oh, great." Thinking in my head, going, all the rooms I get stuck in, this is what I get to deal with. So we walked back in there, and on the way down, I said, "Well, we need to pray. We need to pray before we go back." And God shows us an out, because I don't know how we're getting out of this. I don't know what's in that water, to be honest with you. We are talking about ocean water. It's not like regular water. We're talking ocean water. She's like, "Yeah, I heard you." I was like, "Do you really understand it?" She goes, "Not really. I don't know why you keep telling me that." Sharks? Sea life? Whales? I mean, we're lunch food? Are you with me? Oh, yeah. Okay. So we're back up into this room, and I'm watching the water start to rise, and I'm going, "Lord, help us." Because at this point, I'm ready to just lay down and just close my eyes and let the water come and just be done. You know, sometimes when you fight through life so long, is it a coward way? Or are you just ready to go? You know, I don't live on this earth to stay on this earth. I live today to go to heaven. And any opportunity with the flashing light saying heaven this way, and come on, and I see any kind of heavenly experiences going with it, yeah, well, it ain't the devil's trickery. I'm out of here. Give me a one-way ticket. Let's go. You don't got to tell me more than once. I'm going. I'm heading that way. So as we're sitting there, I was like, "What happened to the other guy? Where is he at?" And And the other guy says, well, he said he was going to go try to find some supplies too. I said, find some supplies too? Why do you say it like that? Well, that's what you said. I said, no, I never said I was going to find anything. And everything I bagged up, per se, and tied up, anything that I could find, plastic baggies or anything like that, I shoved in there and sealed it. I left the air in it as I sealed it, so if it did fall out, it would float. My thinking. Anyways, I don't know if that's true, but that's what I thought about at the time. So, anybody wants to do an experiment, put some items in a bag and leave the air in it and see if it floats in water. If you're ever in a bad situation, and you're ever in a situation like this, who knows, this crazy dream might just go, hey, we gotta leave air in the bag so it floats. I don't know. I'm just as crazy in this dream as everybody else is right now. So I found that interesting. And I'm looking around and I'm going, I looked over at the mom and the daughter and she just keeps staring at this guy. And I looked over at the lady that went up to the other floors. And I looked over at him and I noticed something very interesting. I watched his eyes turn, like sideways, but his eyes blinked in a funny motion. Not like we blink, but like his eye twisted and it blinked side to side. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I don't even know if a reptile blinks like that. I've never seen anything like this. And then for a split moment, I seen a white, cold, black eye, then back to his regular eye. And I'm standing there staring at him, and I said, oh, yeah, maybe I did. You know, not really thinking about what I said. And he goes, yeah, that's right. And I said, so, yeah, the other guy is going to find supplies too, right? He said, yes. I said, any idea how we're going to get out of here? He says, well, yes. What we come up with, that we would send the women and the children, and we would send you out with them. And then we would follow to shield you. Really. So think about this. They're going to send us out there. They're going to follow behind us and shield us. Anybody see a problem with this but me at this point? So I remember going, okay, but first of all, I got to figure out how we can keep them above water, because this water's flowing pretty fast. And we got to figure out how we're all going to stay together so we don't get loosened from each other. Okay. So I'm running around, I'm looking for raincoats, I'm looking for any kind of flotation device, any kind of coat, clothing, anything I can tie together. I come back with all this stuff, and this guy's looking at me going, what in the world are you planning on doing with all that? I was like, I'm going to tie it together so we don't get separated. And this float thing here, I'm going to put this child on there so she can float. As we get to the top, as we jump to the top of this water, she'll be fine. Oh, she's not going to need that. How do you know? And the more I'm looking at him, and the more I start looking at the other guy as he enters back into the room, I looked over at him, and all he said was, you know how naive people are. They follow what they want. They follow what their desires are. And it's always been like that from the beginning of time. And I turned around and I looked at him and I was like, interesting. I said, so I proceeded to strap the girl down to this like chair cushion like thing. And all I'm thinking is, man, I hope this thing floats. I tied her off, tied her down as tight as I could get her on there. Wrapped. He's coming over top of her at a diagonal, and a diagonal on top of her, strapping her down pretty good. Loaded up what I could. I put a coat on, loaded up what I could in there, and wrapped the belt around my waist to keep everything packed into this overcoat per se. Now, I'm not thinking, because in reality you'd be thinking, how the heck are you going to swim? You're right. I didn't think about that. I was just thinking about how much food, how much stuff that I can take with me without having to carry it or trying to keep a hold of it. So I went to the window and I said, okay, I'm going to go out, I'm going to hold on, hand her up to me, you come out next. Well, the other lady, she came out with us, and two guys are standing there. And the craziest thing ever, the little girl says, please, let's just go now. And I looked at her and I just kind of put my feet up against the window and I just pushed backwards. And as we're moving, the current's taking us, and I'm kind of like tucking them around, and I'm bouncing off these buildings. And I remember hitting the one part, and I felt like something punctured. And all I can remember is, man, if I'm bleeding in the water, yeah, I watched Jaws. I was going to a trucking place, and they put me on this chartered bus, and the guy said somebody took the movies out, we're not going to have a movie to watch. And I was like, well, this is great. He says, oh wait, I found one. People, for 16 hours we watched Jaws. 16 hours. It was better than nothing. I found more garbage about Jaws than I ever care to shake a fist at. So I'm not going to ruin the movie if you like it, but honestly, there is parts in Jaws, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Anyways, that's what was going through my head. Blood attracts sharks. So I told them, the one lady that went up with me, I said, I need you to look behind me and see if I'm bleeding. She goes, I don't need to, you're bleeding. I said, well, I'm going to have to let you guys go. You're going to have to go before me. Take this water and just go in the direction where it looks like it's going down. Go in that direction. She goes, well, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to go in the opposite direction to lead anything away from you guys. I woke up. I had no idea. So as I was driving this morning thinking about that video and thinking about all the stuff that happened yesterday and even stuff at work, it's like, I don't know if anybody else is going through like a dark moment. And I don't even like to use that word dark right now because all the talk about these 3 days of darkness and stuff, I think it's really starting to affect people, and I don't think we should be I think we should be preparing. But I think we should also be going, man, how awesome is it that we have this warning before us? We'll make it. If it happens, we'll make it. I know God's going to give a time before this happens so we can final do the preparation. And then we'll all come together and talk about it. How can we survive? I know one person talked about, what am I going to do? I can't take my animals out. Well, get yourself some old newspapers, get yourself some doggy pads, and section off a section, and let your animals go into that location. Bag it up and take it to the farthest end of, if you have a breezeway or anything, throw it out there on the breezeway, anything that you can do so you don't have to keep that smell in the house. There's ways around things. We just gotta overthink it. We gotta think smarter and not in fear. I believe what that dream represents is the final judgment on earth. I believe that's when all destruction and all things are going to be wiped away, and life is going to end on the earth. I believe that's what the water represents, the end of mankind, the end of buildings. I don't know. Give me your thoughts on it. Tell me what you think. That's kind of where I'm at with it, because there was like no hope for anybody. And I believe the people standing up in that building was very demonic, just by the way they talked, by looking at the changing of the eyes and all that demonic feeling. But notice I said at first it was real peaceful, but then the more you start standing around, the worse feelings you start to get. We're going to put you out in the water first. Well, I do believe that was God speaking at that moment into their ears and let us go, because that current, there's no way they could have kept up with it. Well, demonic wise, yeah, it's possible. Everything's possible in the demonic realm when you walk and live in the demonic world that we're living in. We're living in Satan's time. So, I don't know. Give me your thoughts. And honestly, when I get stopped, I'm going to get stopped early today. I gotta do a conference call with someone, and then I'm going to come on and do God's timing. I know. Let me hear it. Go ahead, I'll take it. It's about time. I don't know. I thought about a couple other ones that I wanted to do, but I've been talking about God's timing for a while, and hopefully I can bring justice to God's timing, how I understand it, and maybe it'll open up your eyes to a lot of stuff of why things seem to tarry sometimes in the way things is. We just have to understand it. And when I unfold this God's timing to you, hopefully you'll understand it like I did. So anyways, this wind is ferocious. So anyways, let me pray. I'm going to have to actually keep my sight open. Kind of hard to drive down the road with wind blowing me all over the place. With my eyes closed, now wouldn't it? All right, Heavenly Father, we just lift this day up to you. Father, we just surrender this day to you. We thank you for being in control of our lives. We thank you for your mercy, your love, and your grace. We thank you for being here on this earth and your hands being at work here. We thank you for thinking about us. We thank you for your correction and your discipline in our lives. Please, Father, I know I speak for myself. I welcome that discipline and that correction. I welcome that change. I welcome you into my life. I welcome you into molding and sculpting me. I know you created a path just for me from birth. And I know you did that to each people that follow your son. And I know there's a pathway just with our names on it that takes us in there. You have laid out gifts. You have laid out favor. You have laid out the things of life that we will need in this world. You've laid it out along this pathway. As we need it, we come to it. It's like going on a scavenger hunt. You got to find the next clue to get to the next checkpoint. Well, we know that you're in control because we place you there. We place you at the top as the head. Lord, we know that you are the vine, you are the connection, you are the body. We are just to plug in as a body part. Whether it's an organ, whether it's skin, whether it's veins, whether it's fingertip, whether it's a fingernail. Nothing is not important. It's all the same importance. Because without any part of it, it's useless. A finger is useless without a hand. A hand is useless without a wrist. A wrist is useless without an arm. I'm going to stop there. Because now I'm going, the foot bones connected to, you know that song? Anyways, oh my gosh, never mind. Operation Funny Bone. It's not really a funny bone, is it? It hurts. Why is it a funny bone? It hurts. But anyways, Lord, I just thank you for allowing us to be able to just come openly and use this channel to comfort each other, use this channel to be in the presence of you, to come in here and put our fears in the open. The people that are doing testimonies on here, the people that are coming and not afraid anymore because they can open up and willingly come here and know that there's going to be nobody pointing fingers and persecuting them. We know that we are all in the molding and sculpting of you. Lord, I testified before, you had to use a jackhammer to get all that off of, then use the chisels. You went through many chisels to get to that clay, to start remolding me. Lord, I just ask for your blood to be over everyone, protection. Lord, I ask that their tables are full of food, that they never go hungry. Their needs are met as far as utilities and rent or mortgages, car payments, whatever it is, that they fear not of the comings of anything that we don't understand. I ask for peace and joy and happiness. Lord, I ask for these chains to be broken over their children. I ask for these chains to be broken over these unequal yoke relationships, whether it's a woman or it's a man. I ask for the men to stand up and rise up, men. Rise up, men, and take control back over your household. Take your household back from the devil. Take it. Show your wife that you are that man of God. If you don't know God, I'll let you meet him. I'll let you meet him in more ways than one. Watch these videos, and if that don't bring enough terror into your life, I don't know what will. But Jesus Christ can calm all that. Jesus Christ can mold and sculpt you and make you into that leader. Make you into that loving father. Make you into that loving husband. Rise up. It doesn't matter if you're separated. It doesn't matter whatever. You still have a responsibility as a father. You still have respect. And I say respect because think of that woman that you were with. Or women, think about that husband that you were with. Don't play the devil's game. You once fell in love with this person. Maybe. I'm not even going to go down there, but I fell in love with children. That's why I did what I did. I don't ever recommend it. But anyways, Lord, break these chains. Let these spiritual blinders be taken away from these men. Let them stand up and do the right things. Whether or not the mom and dads can ever be back together, whether or not there is no pathway, but let them have respect for each other. Let them at least have that for each other out of love that they once had. Let these children be pulled away from these demons that are coming to try to control them and lead them into a nonsense realm. Pain, and they want to comfort with other things. I pray alcohol tastes like poison to them, so they'll spit it out. I pray any kind of drug they're trying to put into their body be vomited back out of them to where they feel sick even doing it, like they need to be rushed to the hospital. And I know some people might say this is extreme. Well, it's at extreme times, extreme measures. We have to go to that extreme. I also pray, Lord, that you remove anybody from them. These predators, these people that are going to prey off of them just for desires of their own flesh. And I think we all know where that's going. These teens, girls are fooled by a lot of people. Sometimes even boys these days. Got to be very, very cautious. But I pray for all these things to be broken. I pray for peace, love, and joy, and happiness. And I pray for your will be done in this day. Lord, thank you for going to the cross. Thank you for that horrible beating that you've taken. Thank you for teaching us obedience. And thank you for teaching us how to carry our cross and to come back after we set our cross at the next checkpoint, per se, and we look back and see another one struggling. As I like to say, sometimes dusting off that dust is horrible if you have to do it by yourself. Let us remember and come back. Sometimes we have to sacrifice ourselves, and I believe that's what that dream is showing. Sacrifice. Are you willing to give up your life to save someone else? Absolutely. If they can go to heaven and live an eternal life, then I place myself in your hands, in your judgment. And that's the only thing I can ever ask. Not man's judgment, your judgment. And I accept that. I accept whatever the outcome is. Heaven, if it's heaven, then I'm glorified unto you. If it's hell, then I must accept that. I must accept that because of what I've done. Repentance, yes, daily. Prayer, yes, daily. Reading the Bible, yes, daily. Being in some kind of word, some kind of fellowship, some kind of Bible study, something. Lord, I just lift it up to you and protect us, and all things be done under your name, Lord. In your holy, glorious name, I say and ask of these things. Amen. Before I end this, I'm going to be doing a teaching on a few books. One of them, 1 John, and I got the other ones written down that one of our brothers asked for to be done. So I'm excited. Like I said, I haven't really done any teaching in a while. I can't be no rusty than I am coming on here babbling on. But I think it's going to be interesting. And another person asked for some Bible study time. So that's in the works. So hopefully everybody will tune in. Everybody will come and interact. And, I think it'll be great. I think it'll be great fellowshipping with each other. And I don't know. We'll see where it goes. And I just want to say, listen. It's time to come out of that shell a little bit, turtles. It's time to come out of the shell. You don't have to worry about somebody whacking off your head. It's okay, no matter what you look like. I mean, I'm a good example. You guys accept me, I accept you. We got one goal and one purpose and one plan. Is to do what Jesus did. The Father says, my will is as who does of my Son. Well, what did he do? He talked about the Father. He talked about heaven. He talked about hell. Jesus, you really think about it, Jesus spoke more about hell than he did heaven. Honestly, go back and look at when Jesus first came into place, and you look at everything he talked about. Hell. Majority of everything he talked about was hell. And ye of little faith. He spoke a lot about that. Well, let's not be ye of little faith. Let's be of great faith. And let's finish this journey, people. God bless you. I love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for going through the roller coaster rides, even though I know it's painful sometimes. Thank you for understanding why I do what I do. And most of all, I'm thankful to God that I get to see everybody form their own flower, per se, and open up. And it's been an incredible experience, guys. It really has. And ladies, sorry. I don't mean to call you a guy. There's a thing I used to have a rose garden. Beautiful. I loved it. It was very peaceful. I had a chair out there in the middle and that was made out of a tree stump. And I'd go out there and just sit. And I remember walking through it one day and I remember thinking, some of these roses really don't have a unique smell. And then there were some that had this fragrance. And it's kind of like a woman. A woman has like a fragrance. And I'm talking about a godly woman. They have this fragrance about them and this beauty that is unexplainable. The same thing with evil. And it has a demonic, well, I'm not even going to compare a godly smell to a... Anyway, strike that last part off. Erase it. Act like it doesn't. Get the white out. White it out. Anyways, God bless you guys. And really, God bless you for being on this roller coaster. but I do appreciate it. I really do. And the amazing part is, some people on some of these things, you just expect that you're going to see comments, and then there's a few in between that come on there and just bring a smile to your face. It's incredible. Anyways, God bless you. I love you. Till the next one.